All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this session to learn a little bit more about next steps as you get ready to be a Buckeye this fall. So I'm going to share my screen and go through a number of things with you and understand that well, a couple of things. First of all, everyone who's logged on here is potentially in a different place, meaning you may just be deciding that you're coming our way this fall, or maybe you haven't even made that decision yet. Maybe you're getting a little bit of information here tonight to help you make that decision. And maybe you've had access to some of the steps and items that I'm going to talk about tonight and even completed some of those. Whatever the case, it's totally okay. And we're hoping that you leave here, log off this evening, feeling just a little bit more informed about what the steps are that you need to complete to be a Buckeye this fall. So in just a moment here, what you should see on the screen is a document that says what is next or what's next. So once a student pays that $100 acceptance fee, which is your way of basically telling us, yes, I'm coming to OSU Marion in the fall, and sort of secures your space, you will get a letter and also an email version of that letter. And contained within will be this document, which really sort of outlines what happens next. So we're going to go through some of these steps together here this evening. I'm going to share a number of screenshots with you and more information, because really each of these steps is multi-layered and can be a little bit complex and confusing to sort of figure out or understand. The other thing I just want to do is take a moment to recognize a lot of the terminology that you're going to see within the information I'll be sharing with you this evening. It might be a little bit different. Ashley and I work at Ohio State, obviously, and so we utilize this language and this terminology every day in the work that we do. But if I mention something and it just makes no sense whatsoever, or you're feeling a little bit lost, please put that in the chat or the Q&A so that Ashley can watch that and be responding to it as I'm sharing here. So there are a number of things that you will do. Coming to orientation and scheduling classes is just one of a whole series of things. So you're going to see here, number one, it says complete online components. This includes a series of items. So if I say your to-do list, hopefully that resonates with some of you, and maybe you know what I'm talking about. Your to-do list is something in Buckeye Link. Now I'm going to switch my screen here real quick. So when you go to Buckeye Link, you just type in buckeyelink.osu.edu and it brings you to this page. There are many options you can pick when you're on this page. And what you want to do is pick My Buckeye Link. So on the quick links over to the right, where you'll see quick links, My Buckeye Link is the first thing listed there. Kind of make that your go-to, your landing page, if you will, within Buckeye Link. Certainly these other options can be useful. And as you get a little bit more familiar with Buckeye Link and know what you're looking for, you'll navigate to different places. But the easiest thing to do at this point is to just always select My Buckeye Link. Now I'm going to skip the login screen, but once you click on that, you're going to have to log in and you'll Duo authenticate. So at Ohio State, we use Duo to make sure that all of your information stays secure. And my thought is that you've probably got that app downloaded on your phone already, and you're familiar with that because you had to utilize that to get, I believe, this far in the process. If I'm wrong about that, just let me know. Once you've logged in, this is what your My Buckeye Link page looks like, okay? So up at the top where I have sort of blocked out the student's name, that will be your first name. And all of the information contained within this then is specific to you. And where I'd like to draw your attention is to the to-do list, which is over on the right-hand side. Now, the to-do list is just kind of the place when the university has an item, like a business-related item that you need to complete. Most likely, it's going to show up there on the to-do list. So we like to tell students, get in the habit of checking that to-do list fairly frequently. A lot of things are going to show there right at the beginning after you've been admitted, and then some things are going to sort of add on as we move through the summer. So if you checked it today and did the couple things that were on there, don't assume that you're good to go until fall semester starts. There will probably be things that get added in there. You'll notice when you're on this page, a lot of the text is in blue font and it's underlined. And wherever that is the case, all the items on the to-do list are that way. It's a live link. So I can click on any one of those items, pretend we're clicking on the Math B test, and it's going to take me to, first of all, a list of all my to-do items, and it's going to show me more specific information about those items. If I want to know more about a particular thing from this page, then I can click on any one of the items. So let's imagine I want to know more about that math test. When I click on the math test, it shows me what to do. So you'll see down here near the bottom, it says, please visit the placement testing website for information and to complete the test. All right, so real quick here, the math placement test is likely to show up on your to-do list if you have no credit for math from another college or university. And if you're finishing an AP course in math, well, you're probably just taking the test here in another week or two, and we won't get those scores until July. So if you happen to get an AP score, or if you're finishing up a College Credit Plus course that is going to provide credit, until those scores or credits actually post to your record, that math test is going to stay on your to-do list. All right. If you have math on your to-do list, I'm going to encourage you to do a little bit of homework before you actually take the test. So if you just Google math test, Ohio State, it's going to bring you to this page. The link up here at the top is a little lengthy, but what I'm going to do is I'll put it in the chat, and that way, if you do want to save that in your browser, you've got the ability to do that now. There's a lot to know about the math placement test. I want to cover a few of the highlights. First of all, you can only take it one time. That means you want to make it count when you do take it. You can't pass or fail the placement test, but it does tell us where you should start in math. For some majors, that's really critical in terms of how long it's going to take you to complete your degree if a lot of math is required. Other majors, not so much. But no matter what your major is and how much math you need, we want you to take the math placement test at the time where you're most likely to do well. So what that means is if you're finishing up a math course right now in high school or another institution, right after you study for that final exam or AP exam, that is the perfect time to take your math placement test. If you still have a couple weeks of content to learn in your course, don't take the math test until you've covered all the information you can. All right. Now, as I said, lots of info here. And another question that comes up often, what is the B test versus the D test? If you took an ACT or an SAT test and had those scores reported to Ohio State, your math subscore on either one of those tests is going to determine which placement test you take. So the scores are specified here on each of the columns for B and for D, so you can see what those are. If you need accommodations, if you are coming to us having had an IEP, a 504 plan, or being registered with an Office for Disability Services at another institution, make sure you get those same accommodations in place to do your placement testing. Don't try the placement test and then think, "Ooh, should have done that first," because again, you can only take it one time. As it says here, the test has a time limit of 75 minutes. So make sure when you sit down to take the placement test, you have that much time uninterrupted. All right. Make sure you have good Wi-Fi, all those kinds of things. It is an online test. You do this at whatever time of day you want to take a math test. All right. There are a whole lot of other pieces of information on this website. The one I want to draw your attention to, okay, this is where you go when you're ready to take the test. Don't click here thinking you can preview the test before you take it, because once you click there and it is you're logged in, time starts ticking. Those 75 minutes start counting down. So be sure before you click that link, you're ready to take the test. All right. And there are practice versions of the test. If you really want to, kind of do your due diligence to be as prepared as possible, you can actually find through the website here, familiarize yourself with the types of problems on the test. And who doesn't feel better when you kind of know what to expect on a test, right? So if you've got the time to do that, I highly encourage you to do that, just so you know what is coming your way when you are ready to test. So that is a little bit about math placement. All right. Let's go back here to some of our other items on the what's next sheet. We've talked about the to-do list. Review content in Carmen Canvas. So once you pay that acceptance fee, you've let us know you want to come our way, you're going to get access to a Carmen course called Marian Orientation. And this is a series of 5 modules of information that just gives you a good preview of what is available on our campus in terms of resources and services, and also how you're going to go about selecting courses with the help of your academic advisor for your first semester and beyond. So a lot of really good information is in the Carmen course, and that needs to be done before you come to orientation. We're able to really do our orientations in about 3 hours. So on some campuses at some colleges and universities, it really is an entire day of programming. We try to split it up for students and make some of the items available to you online ahead of time, so that it really cuts down that day that you're on campus to just half of a day, either a morning or an afternoon. Which really brings us to, well, the next item here, which is to complete the pre-orientation assessment. And this is an option, not actually an option, but this is a place for you to give your academic advisor a lot of information. The link will come to you in your OSU email. And this is kind of a survey format, but we call it an assessment because it's very critical to how your academic advisor puts together a suggested list of courses for you that they'll share with you on your orientation day. So as it says on the sheet here, let your advisor know what limitations you have, what your goals are, any pending credits that you have. Let me give you an example. My guess is that most of you have things outside of being a college student that take up time in your week. Maybe you have a job, maybe you're helping with family obligations, or maybe, you're helping to care for someone else, or you've got a really long commute to campus. Whatever the case might be, your situation is unique to you, right? So sometimes when we have those other things that are part of what we do in addition to being a student, it limits when we're available to take classes. So if my job, for example, required me to leave campus from classes by 3 p.m. every day, if my academic advisor knows that before I come to orientation, they can eliminate all the course schedule suggestions that have classes 3 p.m. and after. Okay, so you're going to be answering those types of questions. Do you want to spend as much time as you can on the Marion campus? Is it your goal to get to the Columbus campus more quickly? Do you want to be a part-time student or do you want to be a full-time student? Do you have pending course credit from other institutions? Or do you have AP credits that might be coming in once those tests are scored? Those are the kinds of questions that you're going to answer on that assessment. Again, it's really important information to get to your academic advisor so they can put together a schedule for you that's going to avoid all those other things that you have going on. The next item on here is to register for orientation. Okay. So you're going to come to orientation on the date that you register for. And what will happen on orientation day, a number of things. So you'll attend sort of an opening general session led by the academic advising team. And they're going to be talking to students and guests all about considerations that they took into account when they pieced your schedule together and sort of what that process looked like. You will do a one-on-one Buckeye Link check with somebody who has expertise in all things related to your finances, right? So whether it's about a particular scholarship or loan, or maybe it's just when to pay my bill and how to pay my bill, you'll have that conversation with an expert there. You will schedule your classes as long as you've done the items on your to-do list, right? So if you know, we've talked about math tests, so I'll just use that as my example. Let's just say time gets away from you and you forget to do the math placement test. When you come to orientation, do not plan on scheduling classes that day, because so many courses, even other than math, really depend on math or a math placement score. Your academic advisor is probably going to say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to schedule a time to come back and meet with me once you've taken that math test. Okay. So get those items on the to-do list done just to ensure that you're able to get those classes scheduled. You'll be able to get your Buck ID on orientation day, see some specific spaces on campus that we're excited to show you. Register for Welcome Day, which is the day before classes start. Seems like it's a long ways away, Monday, August 19th, but that'll actually be here before we know it. A couple other things I want to point out. We talked about math placement. Some of you will have English placement also listed on your to-do list. And if that's the case, you will get an email from our English placement office with information on how to access that placement test. It is through Carmen, the same place that you'll go to do the orientation course that I referenced. So it's a little bit different than how you navigate to find the math test. Okay, so check your email. I've probably mentioned that a few times already, but it can't be overstated. Most information that the university needs to get to you is going to come through your email and through your Buckeye mail in particular. Legally, we cannot communicate with students. If you provided like a Gmail account or something like that through the application process, once you're in the system, we really rely on your Buckeye mail to communicate with you. So please keep that in mind. The other thing I wanted to mention, if we go to the Marion website and you hover over future students, drop down to orientation. And when we click on autumn, we have Zoom drop-in hours on Wednesdays, the end of the workday, and then Thursdays over part of a lunch hour. This is meant to be time if you're kind of working your way through all of these steps, something isn't working for you or questions come up, and I'm pretty sure they will, that's part of the process. You'll think of questions as you're working your way through these items. Just click one of the links there and you can just join us for those drop-in hours. So we'll just like admit one student at a time, really be able to kind of dive into whatever questions you have in particular about your situation. So if you're like, man, I know she talks about how to register for orientation, but I don't remember, I can't find it. This is a great option, a great way to do that. Let's see here, steps to take before. There's some other good info here, and a lot of this is reiterated in the Carmen modules, but it's always nice to have pieces of information in more places versus fewer. If you have taken College Credit Plus courses, we must have transcripts sent from the college or university that offered those courses. So many times students have the idea in their mind that those courses are on their high school transcript and their guidance counselor said they would send the high school transcript upon graduation, so everything must be good. Actually, no, we've got to have the transcript directly from the institution that offered the course. So if you've taken CCP courses at Marian Tech or Columbus State or Clark State or Findlay or anywhere, we must have the transcript from that institution in order for you to receive any kind of credit or evaluation. The instructions on how to submit are listed right there. Most places are going to send them electronically. They go directly to the Columbus campus, do not have any transcripts sent here to the Marian campus. They will not be processed. And definitely don't have a hard copy of a transcript and try to take it somewhere, because if you've touched it, it's not considered official. There's some other items on here like health insurance coverage, which might seem like it doesn't at all apply to being a college student, but in fact it does. The university requires that all students carry health insurance. The way that they make sure that happens is they charge you for university health insurance coverage, but you can waive that if you're covered through parents or a spouse or your job or any other means. So there's some information there. Also in the Carmen modules, there will be some screenshots on how to remove that health insurance so you're not charged for it. If you are a male, be sure you are registered with Selective Service. That too might seem like it is not related, but in fact it is. So there's some information there. Lots of info I've shared with you here. Ashley, do we have any questions, or is there anything that you can think of that maybe got glossed over or I didn't cover?
No, honestly, biggest next steps are if you haven't paid your acceptance fee, it's going to be logging in, paying your acceptance fee. Like Chris mentioned, that really is what helps tell us that you plan on attending with us. If you've received a scholarship already, we are still awarding some. And so we are working through some additional specific ones now. What happens is after the 15th, so May 15th, we then kind of pull things back, take another review and say, okay, what do we still have that we can potentially send out to students? So if you did not receive a scholarship from us, it does not mean 100% that you will not yet. We're still working through that, especially with all of the FAFSA updates. Also, for students that have been waiting for FAFSA, a lot of them have posted to your accounts, hopefully by now. So if you have questions about those, feel free to call our office or email anytime. But biggest next steps, pay the acceptance fee. Once you do, you get all of the information that Chris went over today in the mail, and also I believe sent to your email as well. So it provides then you to have some hard copies of these. And then if you have paid, remember to sign up for orientation. We're going to be reaching out to you, doing some reminders, but we are more than happy to help you through that process. I don't see any additional questions, so we will go ahead, unless you can send one right now. I'll keep the Q&A open for a few minutes here, but other than that, we will go ahead and close down for the day. Thank you so much for attending with us again. Sorry for all of the confusion in the beginning, but we were excited that you were able to attend with us. And I think
Ooh,
we
there's a
have one.
Q&A.
Yeah. So selective service is on my to-do list and I tried to sign up, but it wouldn't let me since I'm not 18 and won't be till August 29th. What do I do?
Ooh, what a good question. Okay,
Yeah,
so
go for
I
it, Chris.
do believe you can actually fill out the form 1 month prior to your birthday. So I forget what date you just said, Ashley, but
I think August 29th. So it'd be
August
close
20th.
to-
So July 29th, like mark that on your calendar, go in and get that done. And this does happen every year. There's always at least a few of our new students who don't turn 18 until, right as we're starting. So you will be okay. Just be sure you get that registration done as soon as you're able to do it. And then follow that link in your to-do list to provide I think it's a 9-digit number that you will get when you register. And those non-resident fees then will come off of your bill. And yeah, you don't want those. That is, that is a bill that no one wants.
All right, another question, which is another great one. When do we have to accept our financial aid package by, and do you guys offer payment plans for tuition? So quick answer is yes, we do offer payment plans for tuition. This is something that we will go over again at every orientation. We sit down with every student and talk through, let's look at your specific bill. Let's see what your options are for students. Ask any questions about loans. Some families are looking at loans, some are not, some are required, some do not need them at all. So we actually sit through and try to talk you through a plan where you maybe don't have to accept a loan, or if you do, what your best options are. You do not really have to fully accept a financial aid package with us. So what we do is we actually accept free money for you already. We expect that you're probably going to want that free money. Any scholarships you receive from us that are not from FAFSA directly, that's where you have to pay that acceptance fee by the 15th of this month in order to guarantee that scholarship. Because again, we're going to be pulling those and kind of looking at where we're at. For anything that's from the FAFSA, or again, we're going to be looking at acceptance fee dates, but then we give you more time with that. So you can sit on that for quite a while. Once you've paid though, that's kind of your way of saying, yes, I accept this. And then we don't push anyone to accept a loan. So we never accept a loan on your behalf. That is completely up to you. You also, let's say you get a little click happy, we accept loans before we fully discuss like what that means, and we decide we don't want to do that. There are some options about taking those back. So just remember that there's some options when it comes to loans, and then we'll talk through all of that at orientation. And I think that's all our questions today. So thank you so much. Like I said, we recorded this. So if you want to come back, I'll make sure it's posted maybe to our orientation site. And so if there's questions and you want to go back over it, or you're more than welcome to call our office anytime. Thank you so much for attending with us today.